Hello dear friends, this is Jeannie from Dollhouse Rescue. Welcome back to my workshop and to my channel. Tonight I'm looking at this Marks Colonial house. Now this house, I don't have it completely together, but I have already touched up some paint in it, and I want to tell you this house is in excellent condition. And look, it's got a little tiny set of stairs in there. It's got the door that opens and closes right here. It's just in very nice condition. But I got this, of course, from an older lady that was downsizing her collection, and it is missing two tabs. Now, if the tabs are not critical, I don't worry about them. But these, I think, are kind of important. And one of them is right here, and it helps hold that roof down in the front. And the other one is back here in this corner. And we're going to try two different methods to replace those tabs. Now, this is a common question that I get. What do I do if the tabs are broken off on my dollhouses? Because this is a typical construction for a Marks dollhouse and some of the other brands too. And Marks is one of the more famous or more popular or more common types of houses, and so this can be an issue. So I'm going to show you two different ways to deal with that. Now, to tell you the truth, one of these methods I've tried before successfully, the other one I've not tried, so it's going to be an experiment. But the other thing that I have done is have become a little better and a little smarter about doing some of this stuff. So when I have done some of this stuff before, I have used metal. This is roof flashing that you can get from like Lowe's or Home Depot or Home Improvement Store. It comes in a big roll like this. You get a big roll for like $15. You probably would never use more than that on a dollhouse. Now, if you were doing your real roof on your real house, you might. But for a dollhouse, you just don't need more than that. And if you ever need a little piece of it, let me know and I'll cut off a chunk and mail it to you. So I've used this, and some advantages of this. First of all, I have it handy. Also, you can cut it with scissors. I don't have a lot of tools here in my little workshop, so you can cut it with scissors pretty easily. And it's worked well for a number of projects, but doesn't work well for tabs. The other thing I wondered is if I had a chunk cut out of like a Monster can or a pop can, how would that metal work? I've seen some of my friends try that. Let's cut a chunk out of this right now. It also will cut with scissors, and then we'll give it a try. I guess I better give you a warning. This stuff is sharp. Might not hurt to wear gloves and even goggles or eye protection. These little pieces of metal can fly off, and you wouldn't want to get that in your eye. But I've got here my little chunk of a Monster can and a little bit of that roof flashing. And the third type of metal that I'm going to use, this is a lid that came off of a can of like green beans. My can opener, cut that circle out, and I've got a couple of them here in case I want to use them both. So this is what I did recently. I was also able to cut that fairly easily with my scissors. Now I use some inexpensive scissors for that. You don't want to use your good scissors because you will dull them and ruin your scissors. If you happen to have some tin snips, that would probably work even better, but I just used my scissors and it worked fine. So I did like a little scientific test recently. I took all three of these pieces of metal and I bent them back and forth to see how many times I could bend them before that metal would break. Let's start with the Monster can. We're just going to bend it down the middle. I'm going to repeat this for you. I did do it recently and I know what my results were, but let me show you because a good scientist, I kind of know what the outcome's going to be because I've done it before. So I put a crease in it and I'm going to fold it back and forth. 1, 2, 3. Oops, it's broken already. Let's try the roof flashing. And again, I've just cut a little chunk of this off. We're going to crease it down the middle. And then I'm going to bend it back and forth. 1, 2, 3. It's also broken. So those tabs, have to be bent. So you want something that's going to hold up. Let's try the lid from the can of beans. Fold it in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and it broke. So obviously, to fix your tabs, you're going to go to the trouble to fix them. You want them to be right. I would use the lid of a tin can. You have that available. It's free and it's easy and you can cut it with your scissors. That is what we're going to use today. For method number one, now you don't have to take your dollhouse apart to do this all the time. For this method, I think it's easier, and this piece was easy to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and take that apart. So what I'm going to do is trace this existing tab onto my tin can lid. So I'll have a little template, and then I'm going to cut it out with my scissors, and then I'm going to show you how we will attach that. There, I think you can see that. Now I'm going to draw down here. This is going to be just like this bottom base that's going to like attach to the wall. You don't want that real big, but something like that, you know, a little wider than your thumb maybe, so you can secure that nicely to the wall. Now I'm going to take my scissors and cut this out. Now you can make this, this tab can be a little longer than you drew, but it can't be wider because it's got to fit in that slot that's up in the roof. So don't make it wider. If anything, cut it on the inside of your marker line, but go ahead and cut it a little bit longer. It just makes your tab a little longer. You'll also notice that I drew that down here in this flatter part of the lid. I avoided all this curved part because that lid is not just exactly flat around there at the edge. I use that big flat part in the middle. Okay, let's cut it out. Once you have it cut, then feel free to take your other piece, in this case it's my roof, and make sure that that is cut slender enough that it can go up through that tab. And it does. It fits up through that tab. I didn't cut it too wide. Now you might have noticed that partway through I switched to these scissors. Now these are also from Dollar Tree, but it's their kitchen utility scissors, and they worked much, much better. So I would use like kitchen utility scissors like this, or tin snips. My other scissors, honestly, they were kind of a hassle. I had trouble getting them to work. Once you get it cut out, and you can see I've got my kind of little boat shape with a little tab on there. If there's anything that's very jaggedy, you can take your pliers and kind of bend that metal around so it doesn't have any burrs sticking out in any way that you don't like it. You know, make it as flat as you can. So just kind of flatten it out, and that will help it to not be so sharp, and it will help you to handle it. Okay, I think we're ready to figure out how to attach this to our wall. You can technically attach it either to the inside of the wall or the outside. I'm going to do the inside because that's going to be up high in the roof, up near the ceiling, and I'll probably put a little paint on there so you won't see it. I could even cut it down a little flatter. I might make a little bit of flatter down here, so it's just not quite so big. I snipped it off so it's just a little bit flatter on the bottom, not quite as obtrusive in the room. And now you can see that's going to hug up right there close to the ceiling. And I'll cover that with light blue paint so it'll show even less. But it's going to be a perfect replacement. Now you'll be able to feel on there where that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you probably can't see, but I can feel where that tab was. So that's where I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to show you how you're going to join that. Now you could try JB Weld or some other glues, E6000 or something, but I like to attach those with a little wire, and that's what I'm going to do on this one. The next one I do, I'm going to try using a glue, an epoxy glue. So your goal is to get 2 little holes punched in this tab, and you want them to be at least 1/4 of an inch apart. They could be a little further apart, but somewhere between 1/4 of an inch, which is about the width of your tab, or a little bit further apart. You're going to punch 2 holes. And I keep a little nail in my workshop. I've got a box over here that's got paper clips and little nails and toothpicks and a few other little things in there that I might use, and just a hammer, and pick out a spot to the left of that tab, and then one to the right of that tab, and tap a little hole in there. Now I'm going to use this is a hard rubber hammer. I should go get my metal hammer, but I don't know, I'm a little lazy. I'm going to try this one and see if it works. I've got my hardwood floor out here as a base to put under my little tab while I tap that hole in. Okay, I went and got my real hammer. I was having trouble getting that hard enough to get punched through. I do have a little dimple started in there. Let's see if we can get that nail the rest of the way through. That worked That worked much better. Let me get another hole in there. Success. I got 2 holes in there. Now, I want to line up this where that tab's supposed to be, judging by where I can feel where that tab used to be. Put it up against the edge so that this top is against the edge. I'm going to take my Sharpie and mark in here, those little dots, those holes, and then I'm going to pound the same holes in this bigger wall plate. We're going to wire those together. I've got some little wire I keep in my craft box. This is 26 gauge. I don't know. You, whatever you have, you might try. This is pretty fine, easy to use. I'm just going to cut off a little piece of it. You could use your scissors. I found my little snippers worked pretty well. Just need a short piece. And I'm just going to thread that through, just like almost like I'm sewing. In fact, you probably could use thread for this, especially if you had some heavy thread. I'm going to poke it through the back and then come back up through from the back to the front, and then just wire that on there. So that's going to be like secure forever and ever, as long as we want it at any rate. And hopefully those holes will just line up and you can thread that through. All right, now on the outside, all you see is that little silver wire, which I will cover up with white paint. And again, that's going to be right up under the roof. On the inside, you see the silver tab, but I'll be painting that light blue, and it's going to be right up by the ceiling, also right under the roof. So it won't look odd or unpleasant. Then you're just going to twist those wires around as tight as you can get them. Use pliers if you want to. I was able to run that wire through twice, which gives me a little bit of secure peace of mind. Put it down flat, then use your scissors or your clippers and clip that excess wire off and throw them away. And then this tab's going to be done. Now you could, I almost thought about putting a little glue, E6000 under that, or JB Weld. You don't need it, but I think since I have that glue out here, I almost did that, but I did not. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, I guess. Let's clip those off, and then we're going to go do number 2. Hopefully you won't have to do more than one tab on your house, but in this case I had to do that one in the corner. Now I planned ahead and I traced my little tab ahead of time, so I know it's the right size, the right shape. It's a little too thick, so when I cut it, I'll cut it a little thinner in order to fit in that spot where that's going to go. And I've got my better scissors. Let's get this one cut out too. That one cut out a lot easier. I don't know if you could see. First of all, I used those better scissors. And second, I just tried to cut straight that way and then straight that way and then straight that way rather than trying to turn my scissors like you would on paper. I just made those straight cuts. Let's slide it in there and see how close it is to the right size. All right, this one is going to slide into here. It's got to attach to this part here and then poke through that slot right there. And I can already tell you that my tab is he's a little wide to go through there. So I'm going to trim that down a little bit. This way he should be as wide as this, and I'm going to glue him right there on the inside like that. So you won't even see it. But I want to make that tab just a little bit narrower. I've done a dry fit, and this seems to be the right size and shape, and it's going to go right there, and I'm going to line it up where that slot is so that that tab is right where the slot is, and I'm going to glue it inside this. And after I put the glue on, I brought some little sewing clips. They're like almost like little clothespins, and I'm going to clip that on there and let that dry overnight. And I am using JB Weld. This is Marine Weld, JB Weld, and you pull that little cap off, and then you squeeze out equal amounts from each little tube, stir it up, and I'm going to do it right here on I've got my palette, my paint palette, because it's got that wax paper on there that I can pull off and throw away. And I've got like a little plastic knife to stir it with. And I just need a little dab. And then I'm going to let it dry overnight, and then I'll check it tomorrow and see if it's very firm. Now, one of my Dollhouse friends did this, and she said it worked. I've not tried it before. And trust me, if it doesn't work, I'll just pull it apart and do the same way. I'll punch holes in there and punch holes in that and wire them together. But we're going to give this a try. I've been curious about it to see if I could make it work or not. So first, let me get that glue mixed up, and then we'll get it glued in. All right, I was able to get a third clip on there. We're going to let that dry. The instructions say that it sets up in 5 minutes and then it's fully bonded in, let me look at it again, and it cures in 1 hour. So I'm going to let this sit actually overnight, and we'll come back and see if that's a nice firm grip on there or not. And if not, we'll do something different. And if it works fine, we'll wrap everything up. I'm back. Let's see how that came out. First, I want to show you, here's that palette where I mixed that glue up last night. And I will tell you, over here to the edge, where I didn't get that white part stirred in, it was still soft, which was concerning. But here in this big puddle part, where I did get that mixed in really good, that is hard, just like plastic. So if you want to know how that dries, it dries very, very well and very nice. Let's see how it looks on the dollhouse. Here's those clips I put on there. I'll pull those off. There's the tab. It feels like it's on there very, very firm. It looks very good. There's a little bit of white here that I should have got wiped off. I'll probably put just a little bit of dark color paint on there. In fact, I've got my brown Sharpie. Let's just color that in right now. I bet that'll do it. Yeah, I think I like that. Now I'm going to bend that tab forward and see if I can get it inserted into that slot correctly. That is very nice, and it seems to be holding very tightly and very well. I don't know, can you see that tab back in here? It's metallic colored, a little dark compared to the wall. I'm going to just go ahead and touch that up with a little bit of white paint while I'm at it. Disguise him, just like the other tabs. Look at there. You know, that was amazing. And I want to again say thank you to my Dollhouse friends that share these great ideas. And then I try them out, and guess what? They are great ideas. I may switch to that permanently from now on, now that I find that JB Weld is easy to use, dries nice and hard, dries fairly quick, and seems to make a really nice repair faster than my wire method. Let's take a look at it. It also has worked very well. There's the tab. I haven't put the roof on yet. I did paint that light blue to match the wall, so it's pretty inconspicuous. And as I said, it's going to be up there against the roof. I think this house is done. I'm going to put that roof on so I can show it to you. And I've got one more thing I want to do on this house that I'm going to share before I call it quits. There's how it looks with the roof on. Isn't that beautiful? And those fixes, those tabs are holding nice and tight. Now the rest of these tabs I've not pushed down because I may take this house apart yet. Because this house is very similar to another one I have, I'm probably going to have to sell it. I hate to say it because it is a gorgeous, gorgeous house. And look, it's got the little steps in it, and it's got a little light here. And I showed in a previous video that light actually still works. That light's been up there 70 years, and it actually will still turn on and work. But I want to show you what else I want to do. One more thing on this house before I'm going to call it done and near perfect. Right here is where the stairs come up through the upstairs. There's a landing. There's a hole there in the floor for those to come up. And it has a railing on one side, but I think that railing is supposed to extend on this side and that side too, so your little dollhouse people don't fall down the hole when they're upstairs. And that railing is apparently gone. But I have taken a picture of one from another house. There's a copy of a railing, and here is another copy of it. So this will go on the front that we'll see, and this will be on the back. So I'm going to cut this out. Then I'm going to line it with some of that flashing, that roof flashing that I showed you a little bit ago. And I'm going to insert a couple little magnets in the bottom so it would be easily removable. And just set it in there, and it's going to look perfect. So let's get it cut out and get that done. I have trimmed it up and folded it into the shape that I want. And it's going to go at the top of those stairs just like the original did. It will go just like that. But in order to give it the right weight And to help it so it won't move around, I'm going to put magnets down in this flat part that I saved, some paper flat part. And I'm also going to cover this in packing tape so it'll be shiny and durable on the outside. So let me get that done first. And I'm going to cut off a chunk of my metal roof flashing big enough to line that with. And I'm going to glue this on to the metal flashing that's cut to the right shape. Here's my favorite glue. I'm going to glue this is going to be the front side that you're going to see the most. My little piece of metal flashing that I cut a little smaller than the paper so the edges won't show, and I'm going to glue that in there. And then this will be the part that will be against the wall that you won't see. I'm going to glue all three of those layers together. But I'm going to leave this flat part open because I'm going to glue some little magnets in there to help keep that in place once it's in the house. The only thing I need to do before I glue is I need to crease that metal flashing to match the crease on my copies of paper right there. I use the edge of my table to fold that into a right angle. Now I'm going to use this glue. This is my favorite craft glue. I got this at Hobby Lobby. I have also bought it on Amazon. I'm going to put a link in my description for you just for your convenience if you'd like to try it. 3-in-1 beacon, and it dries pretty quickly, but not so quickly that you can't kind of slide stuff around before you get it where you want it. Let me glue those 3 layers together. On the end of this rod, there are 2 very tiny magnets. Each magnet is about the size of a flat BB. I'm going to take those little magnets and glue them between the flaps on the bottom of the railing. This other flap I'm just going to glue shut. I don't think we need any more magnets in there. There we go, it's done. Now this has the same weight as the original because it's got the metal in there. It's durable because I've covered it with that packing tape, so it's like laminated. And it's a print of an original, and it's got those magnets in there to hold it in place. In fact, I don't know why you'd want, but you can put it anywhere in the house because it's got those little magnets that will hold it anywhere that you want to put it. So it won't like just get knocked around every time you put your furniture. But it goes right there to protect your little dollhouse people from falling down the stairs. Okay, this house is done except for one thing I've not showed you. This house has a secret to it that I have not talked about yet. Some of you are familiar with this, and some of you will not be. But this house came with an extension on it. It had another room on here. It had a little breezeway and then a little room that we call a rumpus room. Or back in the day, sometimes we might have called that a recreation room. This house has that room, and I have not gotten that out yet to look at it. So that's going to be my next video. Get that rumpus room out, see what does it need, show it to you, show you the cute graphics. You can tell it had the rumpus room because you can see here where that roof of that extra room is supposed to join on. And I do have that room. So come back soon and take a look at the rumpus room, learn a little bit about it, and then we'll put it up next to this house and you'll see this house in its entirety. One more thing before we go. I just want to remind you that you have a lot of friends in here in Iowa and many friends in our dollhouse groups, so come and see us. Just ring the bell. Come and see us. Thank you, and please subscribe.